As you listen now, you might start to notice a change, something unexpected, something profound, because there was a time, wasn't there? A time when you thought you had to suppress pleasure, to hold it back, to push it away. And perhaps without even realizing it, you were practicing something that made perfect sense back then. You were training a skill, refining a pattern, developing a powerful ability, because only a mind of great discipline could learn to ignore pleasure so completely. That even success seemed empty, and even rewards felt distant, and yet, the fact that you could do that, the fact that you could shape your reality in that way, it means you already have the ability to shape it another way, doesn't it? Because somewhere deep inside, beyond all the old patterns, beyond all the old distractions, there's a part of you that knows, a part of you that's always known, that satisfaction is not the enemy, that emotions, they're not distractions, that pleasure is not a weakness. In fact, what if, just for a moment, you allowed yourself to wonder? What if pleasure was a compass? What if emotions were a map? What if every bit of satisfaction, every moment of joy, every surge of excitement was simply your mind guiding you, showing you the path, whispering, this way, follow this is the key. Because the truth is, the more you allow yourself to feel, the more you allow yourself to embrace the full experience, the more energy you have, the more motivation, the more power. And isn't it fascinating how quickly the mind can unlearn an old belief and replace it with something even more useful? Because those who achieve the most, those who create, build, succeed, they're not those who suppress their emotions, are they? No. They're the ones who ride them, harness them, use them. Because motivation is emotion. Success is feeling. And the deeper you go, the more you begin to realize that feeling satisfaction is not just allowed, it's essential. Feeling pleasure is not a distraction, it's the fuel. Because as you imagine now, what it feels like to be unstoppable, to wake up each day with fire inside, to feel the thrill of progress, the satisfaction of growth, something shifts, something clicks, and you begin to notice, don't you, that the more you feel pleasure in your success, the more you want to succeed. The more you embrace the reward, the more you crave the effort. And this becomes a natural part of you, effortlessly, automatically. You begin to live in a way that's aligned with your deepest power, your truest self, your self that knows that pleasure is not the enemy, satisfaction is not the enemy. They're the keys. They're the unlocking of everything you've been waiting for. And as these words settle in, as this understanding deepens, as your mind rewires itself in ways you don't even need to think about, you find yourself already beginning to act differently, feeling differently, being different, because this is who you are now. And isn't that interesting? And isn't it also fascinating how sometimes something once hidden can suddenly become clear? How a door unnoticed for so long can suddenly swing open. And when it does, you realize it was never locked. It was just waiting for you to see it. Because there was a time, wasn't there? A time when you learned to suppress, to disconnect, to turn away. A time when something inside you believed that if you just ignored the feeling, if you pushed it away, you could be stronger, more focused, more in control. And yet, the very act of pushing away, it was proof, wasn't it? Proof that it mattered. Proof that it had power. Proof that your mind knew, deep down, that pleasure, that satisfaction, that fulfillment was something important. Because the mind doesn't waste energy on what doesn't matter. And if you had to suppress it, you had to fight it. That means it was strong, doesn't it? That means it was real. And what's fascinating is that same energy that was once suppressed can now expand. The same discipline that once ignored can now focus. The same mind that once blocked pleasure can now unleash it. And isn't that a powerful realization? Because now, as you think about it differently, as you let those words settle into places they need to settle, something's changing. You can feel it, can't you? The shift, the opening, the deep knowing. The motivation was never missing. Drive was never absent. Success was never out of reach. It was always there, waiting for you to feel it, because you were never lacking anything. You were simply redirecting it. And now, you're learning something new. That feeling pleasure in success, it's not indulgence, it's fuel. That satisfaction is not a distraction, it's a signal. The more you allow yourself to enjoy the rewards, the more your mind naturally craves action, effort, and growth. Because the greatest achievers, the most unstoppable people, they're the ones who suppress. They're the ones who channel. They're the ones who ride the wave of emotion, who turn pleasure into power, who turn satisfaction into momentum. And now, as you let this truth settle in, you can begin to notice how easily, how effortlessly, this becomes a part of you. No force, no struggle, just a shift, a realignment, a remembering. That emotions, they're not the enemy, they're guides. That pleasure is not weakness, it's strength. That allowing yourself to feel deeply, fully, completely, it's what makes you unstoppable. Because when you truly feel the rewards, when you let yourself experience the joy, the thrill, the satisfaction, it rewires everything. It makes success addictive. It makes growth effortless. It makes motivation automatic. And as this realization deepens, as this new way of thinking becomes natural, as you step into this version of yourself that knows, that feels, that acts with unstoppable certainty, something inside you clicks. And you realize, this is who you are now. Isn't that fascinating?